Heyo, what is up everybody? My name is Chandler Molyneux and welcome into the Act First show where we talk about sales and personal development. Now this is going to be part 2 of a 3-part series. What we're doing is we're actually breaking down the exact sales script that helped me do over 8 figures in online coaching sales. Now if you missed part 1, we talked about the discovery section of that sales script. Just go to a couple of videos back from this one and you'll find it pretty easy. In the next video, and this is why you want to make sure you want to subscribe, in the next video we're going to be talking about the pitch and objection handling. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that video. But in this one, in part 2, we're going to be talking about the presentation. Now, we're going to get interactive here in just a second. I'm actually going to share my screen and show you an example of a presentation to explain your offer in the best way possible. But before we do that, I want to talk about the biggest mistake that I see coaches and high-ticket closers make when it comes to explaining the offer, explaining the program. And that's talking about the how. Okay, when I say talking about the how, I'm talking about the exact step-by-step process in order to get results. All right, we really just want to focus on the what and the why. Let me give you a couple of examples here. Let's say that I was selling a vacation. All right, when I'm selling a vacation, I'm not going to sell the travel to the airport, the annoying TSA people who are rude to you, having to take your shoes off, go through a security line, have to wait hours for Starbucks, then get on a plane, it's hot, you're sandwiched in between 2 people, it's an uncomfortable situation. That's not how you sell a vacation. How you sell a vacation is you talk about the end result. You talk about sitting on the beach, having a beautiful view, your wife and your kids are having a great time, you feel good about it, maybe you have a drink in your hand, right? Those are the things that you sell. Well, it's the same exact thing in a coaching context. I think coaches are selling way too much about the step-by-step process. Let me give you an example. So if I was a fitness coach and my approach was calorie tracking, this would be the wrong way to go about it. Yeah, and we're gonna do calorie tracking and you're gonna take your phone out and you're gonna scan the barcode, your protein, your carbs, your fat would all pop up. You'll actually have to take a screenshot of your food and send that to me. That's the step-by-step process, right? When we do that, the prospect glazes over because they feel really overwhelmed and they don't receive what you're saying. They also don't understand how what you're saying is relevant to the outcome that they want to accomplish. But really the main negative is they feel overwhelmed, right? You're sharing all this information and they're just like, holy crap, this seems like a lot. I'm not sure if I can do this. Save the coaching for when they become a client. The purpose of the sales call is to sign a client. The purpose of coaching is to coach your client. We don't coach your client on the sales call. So here's what we want to do instead, right? Here would be explaining the what and the why, right? The what is me simply saying we do calorie tracking. The why is explaining why we do calorie tracking. The reason we do calorie tracking is it allows you to have more flexibility with your food choice. As long as you hit your calories at the end of the day, of course you can't eat 100% unhealthy. We do have to have some healthy foods, right? But it offers you more flexibility. If you hit your calories at the end of the day, but you have a couple of cookies or you have a couple of slices of pizza, that's okay. You're still gonna lose weight as long as you hit the calories. And the real reason why we do this is it gives you that flexibility and doesn't actually make you feel like you're dieting, right? See the difference there? I'm not explaining the steps. I'm simply explaining why we do it, and I'm tying it to the end result. The end result here would be losing weight but not feeling like we're dieting, right? It's a much better way to explain things. And like I said, this is the biggest mistake by and far that I see in the presentation section is coaches get too cute. They want to sound too smart. They want to sound, they're trying to prove themselves and they get way too much into coach and explanation mode and they lose the prospect because the prospect's completely overwhelmed. All right, the what and the why. That's all you need to do. Okay, now number 2, the second thing I want to discuss here is you have to have a presentation, okay? I think another area that coaches go wrong is they don't have a visual presentation for their program. I think a lot of people are visual learners now, not just auditory, and that's with the massive amounts of content that we have out. People want the visual cue, right? They want to be able to see what they are going to get. And I think a secret weapon when it comes to the coaching space is showing them what they are going to get, not just telling. I've heard, and we do this in our sales process, and we've gotten so much positive feedback on, hey, thanks for actually showing me what I'm going to get, because I've gotten on a lot of calls where they just tell me, but I don't see anything, and then they ask me for $10,000, right? You gotta think, we are in a trust recession, especially in the online space. A lot of consumers think they are going to get scammed. A lot of consumers don't trust online coaches. What's the best way to build trust? Show them what they are going to get, right? They're purchasing something online, meaning they don't actually have something tangible they can hold, right? I go into a water bottle store and I go to buy this, I can hold it, I can see it, and I can determine if there's value there, right? And when I have a sales presentation as an online coach, I make it tangible, right? Now they can actually see, is there value there? And I think that's the power of a presentation. So what I would like to do now is we are going to go over to my computer. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly what our sales presentation looks like so you can model that. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and break down this presentation. So this is going to be the title slide. Now, a couple of things I want to point out in the title slide. One, it's aesthetic. So actually take your time, make your sales presentation aesthetic, because it does say a lot about your brand, right? And if you don't take care of these little things, then what does that communicate to the prospect? It communicates that you may not take care of them. You may not be a good coach. You may not be detail oriented. Okay. So aesthetic is good. Now, the second thing here is where it says become a full-time online coach. Right? This is messaging, right? I'm communicating that this program here, Corporate to Coach, helps them become a full-time online coach, right? Couple other things that symbolism communicates. Down here, we won the Torch Award for the BBB, which basically means for our size company, we were 11 to 20 employees. We won their Torch Award for business ethics within that category. So, that's a talking point. I want to bring that up right in the beginning there, right? I also want them to know that we are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Now, it's subtle, right? Like what I do on this slide is I basically say the program we're going to talk about today is Corporate to Coach. This program really helps you become a full-time online coach. It helps starters become full-time. Now, if you didn't already know, we are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and we actually won their Torch Award for business ethics in the month of blank. That's literally what I would say. All right. Now, the next thing I'm doing here, I'm instilling trust. I'm showing that we are reputable, okay? So you may not have this, and that's okay, but if you have anything that establishes your reputation as a coaching program, I would add it into your slide, okay? So like I said, you don't have to recreate this slide, but you do want to show things that increase your reputation. And one thing that really increases your reputation is using other reputable companies. Okay, so we actually were affiliated with NASM, ISSA, and ACE, which basically means we were an accredited program. If you don't know, these are 3 really big companies that help people get certified as personal trainers. And these companies recognized our business coaching program. And if a client finished our business coaching program, they got continued education units towards their personal training certification. So that's what we talked about on this slide, right? So basically, I would say, are you certified with any of these 3? And then I would explain exactly what I just explained to you. And the goal of that, build reputation, build trust. All right, now the next thing here is the 3 different programs that we offer, okay? So we call this our growth path. And this just provide a visual of the different paths that they can go. So basically what I said on this slide is at a really high level, we have 3 different programs. We have our group coaching program, our one-to-one support, and our master coach program. All right, group coaching gives you all the information to go full-time. The accountability is just facilitated in a group setting. One-to-one coaching gives you all the same information as the group program, but the accountability is one-to-one. So you have more of a customized, tailored experience. And Master Coach is for our high-level students. These are for students already making $10,000 a month, but they want to scale to that next level. Okay, so high-level overview of our programs, quick 30-second elevator pitch for each one. All right, you're not trying to ask them any questions here. This is just giving them information. Okay. Now, the next thing that we did here, so our ideal client for this program was corporate professionals who wanted to leave their job to become full-time fitness coaches. So we actually had some statistics here, and this was to connect to their pain points, right? So corporate professionals, if you look at all the statistics here, 21% of employees are actually engaged at work, which means that what's the math on that? 79% of employees are not engaged at work. 43% of workers aren't satisfied. 77% state they're burnt out, right? I'm trying to give them stats that resonate with them. They what they should be feeling as I'm reading that to them is that's me, that's me, that's me, right? If they say that's me, right? Then they're going to start thinking like, oh, this program is 100% for me. Like this is literally describing me, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to describe the type of person that we help. And I already know that they're going to say that's me because I know our client really well. And we do that with statistics. Okay. Then on the right-hand side here, we have contrary statistics that support their decision to want to leave that profession to become a fitness professional, right? So we talked about what the average online coach makes, how the industry is growing, and so on and so forth from there. Okay. So what you could do here is basically communicate your ideal client, right? Maybe where they're at now in comparison to where they want to go. And the goal of this slide is to get them to say what? Is to get them to say, oh, that's me. Okay. Continuing that, the goal of getting them to say, oh, that's me, we then have a slide that talks about who we can help and who we can't help, right? And this is, it does two things. It gets them to say that, oh, yeah, that's me, but it also weeds out people that shouldn't be on the call. This is another opportunity for you to say, hey, we're not a good fit. So I basically go through these 3 bullet points on either side. And then I say, like, do you feel this is you, right? Getting them to say yes. It's a soft commitment. Taking them down that path there of them saying, yes, that is me, which makes them feel even closer to our brand. Okay. Now, what do we talk about? We talked about not explaining the how. All right. That doesn't mean that you can't show them anything. Okay. So we have what we call our corporate to coach method. Okay. So this is our 10-step process that we take our students through. Now, hear me out. You may see this and be like, oh, Chad's talking about the how. Kind of, but not really. Because the way that I explain this is I explain it in a what, why fashion. So I say, awesome. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go through our 10-step process on how we help coaches go from step 1 to full time. All right, the first thing we do, if you're not already certified, is we're going to help you get certified so that you can be a better coach for your students. Okay, I'm not getting into the how. I'm not talking specifically on all the information we're going to get them certified on. I'm saying we're going to get you certified, the what, and then I talk about why it's important for them to be certified so they could be a better coach for their students. See, so yes, I may be showing them some parts of the how, but I explain it in a what, why way. All right. Now, what this does is it helps answer the question of what does the journey look like, right? So have a methodology, give the methodology a name. We call it the corporate to coach method, and then lay it out in steps like this. Just make sure that you explain the steps as what, why, not what, how, why. All right. Now, the next thing here is let's see which program is best for you. Now, I like to ask them what program they think is best for them because it gives them a sense of ownership. And if they feel they are customizing their process, it's going to be a lot harder for them to say no to something that they made the decisions on. All right. So we had 2 programs, right? We had the one-to-one coaching and the group coaching. So what I did here is I said, all right, so I want you to decide what program do you want me to talk about more, our one-to-one coaching or our group coaching? Quick high-level overview again. Group coaching is blank, blank, blank. One-to-one coaching is blank, blank, blank. What program do you want me to discuss in more detail? All right, depending on what they said, I would then take them to the slide that explains that program in more detail. All right. Most people that did our program were one-to-one coaching. So I'll explain this with one-to-one coaching. All right. So now I'm getting into explaining the program mode. All right. This is giving them the information to make the decision on if this is the right program for them. Now, we also talked about in the discovery section that the needs question sets you up for the presentation. All right. This would be a great opportunity to highlight the things that they said that they needed. Okay. So here's what I did here. I would say, awesome. So with our one-to-one coaching, it's broken down into three pillars. We have the community pillar, the resources pillar, and the support pillar. That's all I would say here. All right. Then I would say, I know there's a ton of other business coaching programs out there. Here's what makes our program different. You actually are going to get two one-to-one coaches. You're going to get a one-to-one business coach and a one-to-one sales coach. All right. So our unique selling point right in the beginning, I want to answer that question. What makes our program different than all of the others? And I didn't give a long explanation. I just gave a short little explanation here. Also, visuals are great. This is one of our live events. It also, if you do have pictures of you and your clients or you and your team in person, it does make it more real. It does make it seem like, okay, this is legit, not just some online program. All right. So then I went through each pillar. Okay. I went through the community pillar. I went through the support pillar, the resources pillar. The biggest thing when you go through the pillars is, once again, explain the what and the why. Don't explain the what, the how, and the why. So with community, I'll give you an example. I would say, awesome. So you're going to have access to our client community. Now, the best part of the client community is you're actually going to have connection with other coaches in the industry. Now, these individuals are going to share tips, right? They're going to ask questions. And when you're a part of a like-minded community like that, you are going to get pulled forward. You are going to grow as a result of the community growing too, right? So I didn't explain the how, that our community is in a Facebook group and all that bullshit. Excuse my language. I only explained why the community is important to their success. Okay. Did the same thing with the support slide. And then I did the same thing with the resources slide. Now, once again, showing them visuals, right? All these are legitimate pictures from our company and different live events that we've had. All right. Now, quick side note, if you do have a course, I would highly recommend showing them the modules. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it because I know that could take a really long time. But if you just spend a couple of minutes showing them the modules, it does once again give the feel that this is something tangible, right? They see it, they feel it, they can hold it, they can see the modules, they can see that this is legit. There's the videos, there's the resources, right? It helps them see what they are going to get so they can justify the price that you are going to pitch. Okay, really quick, I think it's a good opportunity to talk about timing of all this. Just like your discovery, this should take you 20 minutes. So 20 minutes for the discovery, 20 minutes for the presentation. That leaves you 20 minutes to handle objections and get them closed for a full hour. All right, so I just went through the different aspects of the program. I went through community, I went through support, and I went through resources. At this point, I do a quick recap. Obviously, there's a shit ton of bullet points here. I don't go through every single one. I just give them a quick recap, highlighting everything that they're going to get. And what that sounds like is I say, look, I know we went through a lot. Just want to highlight exactly what you're going to get again. Boom, boom, boom. At this point, it's very important. I'm pissed that I didn't mention this earlier. It's very important that you ask them, do you have any questions? Is there anything else that you feel like you need? All right. And I asked that probably 5 or 6 times throughout the presentation. Now, specifically, I ask it at this slide, but I usually ask it every 2 to 3 slides. Do you have any questions? Is there anything else you feel like you need, or does this cover it all? That last question is crucial and critical because when they say no, there's nothing else I need. Yes, this does cover it all. They're selling themselves over and over and over again. If you ask that question every 2 to 3 slides, that this is the right program for them. Okay. Now, this is up for debate. Okay. So I have seen coaches do this a couple of different ways, and I actually don't think that any one way is better than the other. But I like to go over the guarantee for our program prior to pitching the price. The contrary to that would be using the guarantee as a way to handle objections. And I think that's totally fine. I actually I prefer to stack the value to eliminate objections opposed to pulling this out when they're already objecting. Because if they're already objecting, they've already made up their mind a little bit that they don't want to do this. But if I go through the guarantee prior to pitching the price, I'm stacking the value, increasing the odds that I may not actually get an objection at all. All right, so basically, this is going over your company guarantee. So I like to be fully transparent. That's really important to me. Transparent. The fact that I have this slideshow shows how important transparency is to me. But I make it look legit, right? We come up with our own little guarantee logo. You could use that, make that using Canva. And then we go through the guarantee, right? So the guarantee is that you'll become full time in 6 months or less. And if we fail, we'll write you a $6,000 check. Now, we do go over the terms and conditions. So basically, I'll say, there are terms and conditions here. You can't just get a $6,000 check, right? The terms and conditions are, and then I'll go through them briefly here. But I won't go through it like in super detail. I'll basically just say like you have to show up to your calls, got to take action on the program, and you got to do your part two. Any questions on the guarantee? How do you feel about this? You feel solid about this? Right? And then I'll move on to the next slide. So it pretty much sounds just like that. All right. Then from there, once again, we're about to get into the pitch here, right? So then from there, I'm trying to stack the value. I just showed them the guarantee. Now I'm showing them the bonuses. So you should have same day sign on bonuses, meaning they only get access to these bonuses if they sign on that day, right? So how I go over this slide is I say, great. So on this slide, we have our same day sign on bonuses. So basically that means if you sign on today, you get these extra things. And then I'll explain in a what, why way what each of those things are. And then I'll say, do you have any questions on these? Almost every single slide, I ask them if they have any questions because we want to get questions. We want to answer their questions before we pitch them the price. Why? Because if they have lingering questions and we pitch them the price, it's going to show itself in an objection. So be obsessive with asking them, do you have any questions? How are you feeling so far? So far, so good. Anything else you feel like you need, or does this cover it all? Right? Find different ways to ask questions like that. Okay. Then I go through testimonials, right? So I will say this, you can either go through testimonials or you can go through your client statistics, but I wouldn't go through both. I would go through one or the other. I liked going through our client statistics. I know other people like going through testimonials, but this is where we place the testimonials. Okay. Now, once again, showing what I like to go through. I like to go through client statistics. So on the right-hand side here, we did a really good job of tracking our client data. So we actually knew what an average client was doing. So at this point, I would just say, hey, what I want to go over with you is I want to go through our client data. This is actually what an average client does in this program. So not our best clients, not our worst clients, our average clients. And then I would go through the statistics and I would show them what an average client does. And I would say, pretty cool, right? Any questions on that? No, awesome. All right. Then from there, you get into the actual pricing. Now, I think we were doing a sale, so this pricing is a little messed up, but we did have a slide for each of our pricing. Now, this would be the point that we would get into the pitch, and I'm going to explain the pitch in the next video, but I did just want to show you that we did have slides for our pricing. And when we pitch the pricing, I do like to show the visual. I like to say it verbally. So I actually like to say the price, why I'm on this slide, and then I go to the visual. Why? Because I don't want them to have sticker shock. I'd rather them hear it from my mouth and then they can see it visually. But the reason I like it visually is because you could do things like price anchors, right? You can do like originally $10,000 crossed off sale. Now this price, right? Like you could do a price anchor that gives them that visual of them getting a deal. All right, that's everything that you need to know in the presentation. And that's actually going to be the end of this video, guys. So stay tuned for part 3. We're going to talk about the pitch and objection handling, and you're not going to want to miss that one. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.